Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Teenager Who Cooks. Today I'll be making some macarons, okay? And today I'll be making cherry macarons because cherry is my favorite fruit. Let's get started. The main ingredients that we'll be using for the macarons are 3 eggs, 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, 1 3/4 cups of powdered sugar, and here we have 1 cup of almond flour, which is very important. Make sure to get almond flour. So the first step will be actually separating our egg whites from our egg yolks. We're only going to be using the egg whites in this recipe. So just crack them on the table, open them up, and so now what we're just going to do is we're going to use our hand to separate it. And now these eggs are really like room temperature, so it's also much easier to separate the eggs, and we'll definitely be able to beat more air into them later. So right now I brought out my food processor, and we're gonna actually need to process our almond flour and our powdered sugar just so that there's no lumps or bumps, because these things can tend to produce lots of bumps, which we do not want in our smooth macaron tops. So I'm just gonna put these in, and then we're gonna add just a pinch of salt. Just a pinch is enough. And then we will cover this up and just blend it until it's all incorporated. And you can see no really big lumps. So. Okay, so next I'm just gonna sieve it into this bowl. So just use like a spoon or something to assist you, and just make sure that everything is really fine and no lumps or bumps are in your flour. Okay, so our dry ingredients have been prepared. They're all sifted in this little bowl over here. So I'm now gonna add just a tiny pinch of salt to my egg whites over here, and I'll just beat it on a medium speed until it's kind of white and frothy. So now that our mixture is all white and frothy, we'll just add in half of our sugar, and then we'll continue beating until it's all incorporated, and then we'll add in the rest of our sugars. Okay, so right about now, this is what our peaks look like. This is basically perfect. You just want them to be kind of stiff, and then just lean over a bit at the end. So very nice. And now it's safe to add in our food coloring. And for today, I'll be using red. You don't even have to use food coloring if you don't want to, but also it's best to use gel food coloring, because if you add too much water, you're gonna kind of dilute your egg whites, and that's not good. So I'm just gonna add a bit of our gel food coloring today. Okay, it's now time to combine our ingredients. So I have this kind of pinkish egg white over here, and I'm just gonna add in 1/3 to 1/2 of my flour into the sky. And now I'm just going to fold it in. And now you don't want to be too gentle when we're folding it in here, because we want to get rid of any big air bubbles that might be left over, because we don't really want big air bubbles in our macarons. And this is going to be really sticky, so try not to touch it with your hands. And we're just going to try to fully combine this before we add in the rest of our flour. And once I've combined this much of the flour, I'll add in all the rest. Now we're just going to want to beat this until it's been combined, and then we want to be able to kind of draw an 8 or an infinity sign, whatever you think of it as, with our batter. I will show you what I mean once this is combined. Alright, so what we're gonna want to do now is we're gonna basically try to draw a figure 8. So we're gonna be folding it kind of, and then now we'll just try to draw a figure 8. And now we keep practicing this, and once you can get a really nice figure 8 going, kind of like that, and it doesn't break in the middle, you know your macarons are ready to be piped. So, and you can just try to go really slowly, and You can see how my figure 8 didn't break even when I went super slowly, so that means your macaron batter is ready. Okay, so I've transferred all of my macaron batter into this piping bag. And so I have 4 small dollops of just the batter on my baking tray, and I'm gonna add a sheet over this and press it down really nice and firm. And this just helps the parchment paper actually have like no waves or anything, so that your macarons will turn out perfect. Nice, because the batter is really sticky, so this is a great use. And now I'm just going to kind of slowly pipe this and then lift up at the end. And you can see that's just a perfect little circle. And because the batter is still kind of like not completely hard, it's just gonna develop into its nice little smooth macaron cookie shape. So click in here. Just like that, we have 2 cookies. Very nice. Alright, now it's time for us to drop the tray. You can see that we've piped all these macarons out. And now I'm just going to kind of like just drop the tray a few times, just so any remaining air bubbles are forced out. And just like that, we can wait for 30 to 60 minutes, just so that the macarons can actually form a little film over them, and you'll see what I mean when we get there, and we'll kind of be able to touch them. So we're gonna have to do that before we get baking. Okay guys, it's time to start baking. So these have been resting for basically an hour now, and if you see, I can brush my finger over them and it doesn't actually damage the macaron at all. So I'm going to bake them for like around 17 minutes or 18 minutes. It depends on your oven kind of, but you'll see at the end what they look like, and it's very easy to judge whether they are ready. I'll put them in one by one. And just like that, I'll set the timer for 17 minutes and we'll check back. Our macarons are out of the oven. They're looking great. Look at how much they've actually risen. That is so amazing. So we're gonna let them actually cool down to room temperature right now. And then once they've cooled down to room temperature, you're gonna be able to pluck them off the parchment paper super easily, and then we can make the filling and fill them up. Okay everybody, it's the next day now, and you can see our macarons. I just left them in like a lunchbox, sealed in the fridge overnight. They are looking absolutely amazing. Like, look at that nice color on them. Wow, just amazing. And they formed a little skirt. You can see how they've risen up, kind of. Very, very nice macarons. So we're gonna make the filling now, and today I'm gonna be making a cherry filling to kind of match the pinkish color of our macarons. So here I have like around half a cup of frozen cherries. You can use fresh cherries as well, it doesn't really matter. And now I'm just gonna put them into the blender and just blend until it's basically all blended up. So alright, our cherries have been pureed really well. You can see they're all liquid. And now I'm just gonna go and turn them into a jam. So over here, I just have a little tiny little pot. So I'm just going to add in this cherry. And then I'll just add in like a tablespoon of sugar. And mix that in. I'm gonna heat it over a medium heat for like around 5 to 10 minutes. You'll kind of see, just as it gets thicker, you want it to simmer. So just get it really nice and thick. Alright, so while the cherry mixture is simmering, I'm just gonna add like a teaspoon of cornstarch to about 2 teaspoons of water. I'm just gonna try to slowly mix this in so that you have this like very thick white substance. Once it's combined, you can go ahead and just pour this into your cherries. So over here, This is the simmering cherries, and we'll just pour this in. This is cold water, by the way, that we just added. Now, we'll just keep on simmering until it reaches our desired thickness. We generally want to have the heat on like medium-low in this step. So, we'll just slowly keep mixing. Alright, it's time to prepare our buttercream. So, I'm gonna actually use some cream cheese in mine. So this is like half a cup of cream cheese. Here is half a cup of butter, or 1 stick. That's at room temperature, so very, very soft. Oop. Gotta get it all off. Now I'm just gonna mix these at low until they're all combined. Okay, so our buttercream has been like whipped, so it's really, really creamy. You can look at this nice texture. So I'm just going to sieve in around 2 cups of powdered sugar now. You can use more or less. This is you kind of need the powdered sugar to get the nice texture of the buttercream. So I think 2 cups should be like a good amount. And you're slowly sieved in, just so that you can get a really smooth and creamy buttercream. Alright, it's now time to mix in all of our sifted powdered sugar into the buttercream. So we're just going to do it really slowly so that not a lot of powdered sugar flies everywhere. Because that would be a big mess. Now we can just kind of scrape down the sides. Just do this part really slowly until it's all combined. Alright, now with that, we're ready to add our cherry jam. So I'm just gonna add 2 big scoops for now, and you can always taste later. And we'll add a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract, just a little splash, and then we can start mixing. That's a very nice cherry flavor. Okay, so with our with my buttercream in my piping bag, I'm gonna start piping my macaron. So I'll just kind of go in a little circle here, get a nice blob onto the macaron, just flip the other side on, and just like that, I have a super plump, super beautiful little macaron. Now I'll just repeat this super easy process for all the others. So just kind of go in a circle, pipe the buttercream on, and cover with another macaron. Beautiful.